Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to learn how to start our microgreens. So there's lots of different ways that we're going to do our microgreens. We have these little green trays with a little mesh. Okay. And it either comes with paper. You can also grab some paper towels, napkins, it doesn't matter, just something to absorb water. And we're going to use this to first start our seeds. Then another option that you guys have at your disposal are these more traditional seed starting trays. And we have these little hydroponic pads that are just exactly the right size that sits down in your tray. Okay, and so all of these can hang out and have microgreens growing. All right. Now, let's start with this tray. Okay. So I'm going to use a paper towel first. And I'm just going to kind of roughly tear it in the right shape. Okay. And as long as I get it roughly close, that's all that I really care about. Now, if you want it to be more precise about this, you could grab some scissors and cut it into the right shape if you want it to. And all you're trying to do is not to let so many seeds fall through the holes. Okay. So now I've got my paper towels, pretty good, right size. I'm going to pour water on top of here, right? I'm going to get everything nice and wet. And what you want to do is make sure that once you've got this wet, that it isn't sitting in water underneath. Because if it's sitting in water underneath, you're going to drown your seeds. So you want this damp, and what the water is going to do is going to evaporate and help keep it moist. Okay? And you're going to put it in your greenhouse and help keep your seeds moist. And so we have these little bags of seeds. You don't need a lot of seeds. So also hanging out are little tablespoons. Really all that you need is a tablespoon. So there's little Ziploc bags near the seeds. You can grab those. Grab a couple of 2 or 3 or 4 tablespoons of seeds. And what you're going to do is you're going to take those seeds and you're just simply going to kind of sprinkle them out. Alright. So generally about 1 to 1.5-ish tablespoons of seeds are more than sufficient. Okay. Now, one of the things that you want to do is once you put your seeds on, you want to get them wet so you can just kind of use your fingers and roll them around as needed. If you have a little spray bottle of water, you can spray water on top of them, but really all that you have to do is get the seeds wet. Okay. And now I've got my seeds in my little seeds tray. And now all we have to do is just keep them someplace warm so you can put them in your greenhouse, turn on the lights in your greenhouse if you want it to, or just put them on a windowsill where it's warmer and they're going to sprout initially. And then once they're sprouted, then we're going to run our experiments in the greenhouse. So that's one of our ways of starting seeds. Now the other way that we're going to have to start our seeds are in these little black bins. It kind of depends on which way that you want to go. Either way is fine. And we're testing it out to see which way works best. So again, the black bins have holes in the bottom, so be careful. You're going to have water spill out through them because these are more designed traditionally for just basic soil. But they have these little hydroponic sheets, which are pure magic. Because what you're going to do is you're going to pour water on them, and you're going to see the little hydroponic sheet just soak up the water. Okay, it's very, very hydraulic, so it's going to absorb a lot of water. So you kind of pour enough water in till it basically stops absorbing that water. Okay. Alright, and I'm just going to do one of them. These come apart. So what's kind of nice about these is that in your greenhouse you can put them in different spots in your greenhouse if you wanted to. But notice I've got water now on my tray. So you're going to get water on your tray, or water's going to leak out of these. One nice thing about these is they're black, so they're going to absorb heat. So they might keep your seeds a little bit warmer. And you don't have to worry about overfilling it with water because the hydroponic pad is going to keep your seeds nice and moist. Same thing, just grab a tablespoon-ish or less of seeds, sprinkle it right in. Okay. And now you're going to have your little seeds spread across there. And what you're going to do is you're just going to wait. So again, you just put them someplace warm and just wait until they start to sprout. And it'll take about 1 to 3 days for them to start to sprout, and then they are going to start to grow. All right, and it's going to take about a week and a half for them to kind of get big enough for us to eat. Now, if you've not grown microgreens before, this little bin is using a hydroponic little sheet. So it's using one of these little thin yellow sheets. And this is after about 3 days. Right, so once they start to sprout, they really do start to grow. And you can do multiple experiments. You can try it in your greenhouse when you've got airflow, try it when you've got lights, try it when you've got both running, try it with the roof on, try it with the roof off, and see what happens. And this one is just a bigger version of this little guy. These are about 4 days old. Okay. So you'll begin to see where they're really starting to happily grow. And then actually if you lift up your paper towel or you lift up underneath of that, once they start to grow, you're going to start to see little roots. I don't know if they're showing up on the camera, but you can begin to see the roots sticking out the bottom. So that's why you need water underneath this tray, because again, this will just dry out. And so having the water underneath will allow the roots to continue to grow and soak up water so that your little microgreens can happily grow. Okay. And that's really it. That's all there is to microgreens. And what we're going to do is we're going to stick these things in our greenhouses, turn on lights, turn on fans, take roofs off, do whatever it is that we want to do for an experiment with our greenhouse. But we're going to monitor temperature, we're going to monitor humidity, and we're going to just see what are the best conditions under which we can get our microgreens to grow the best.